It's the end of the day, and it's very, very hot outside, so I'm very grateful for you coming in here and listening to me. Starling Bank. After 30-odd years in the banking industry, working for some of the biggest banks in the world, and going through the financial crisis, I realized that banking was broken and the business model needed to dramatically change. I was fed up of selling one product and cross-selling and upselling another, and delivering things that were probably a little bit antiquated. So I decided to quit my job. Previously, I was head of EMEA for ABN AMRO Transaction Banking and RBS. And before I quit, I was Chief Operating Officer for Allied Irish Banks, returning the bank to profitability. And I quit to start a new bank that's based on new principles. And this is quite early. This is 2014. And I started talking about marketplaces. I started talking about PSD2. I started talking about APIs. And I knew regulation was changing. So I set about building a bank that just does current account, checking account only, that has direct access into all the payment systems, and is built on brand new technology. And it took 3.5 years to get the banking license and build the technology out. And the idea is we have all the information around a transaction, and we use that information to give customers insight. And that insight we use to recommend and advise on products in our marketplace. Customers were telling us that they'd seen transformation in all walks of their life. You know, they shop differently in Amazon, they bought music differently, but banking hadn't changed. So we built a bank based on these new principles. We're the first challenger digital-only bank in the UK. So we recently became member of Faster Payments. Prior to us, there'd only been one other new member in 300 years. We're the first bank in the UK to be PSD2 ready. We have open banking APIs, and we hold things like hackathons to encourage people to develop on our platform. And we're the first UK bank to launch a marketplace to support the developer community. So today you've heard quite a lot in the fintech space about the fact that you have all these new fintechs raising customer demand. You have lots of people coming up with products that give things to customers they've never had before, that they're getting in other industries. And you're talking about those organizations taking on the big banks. The old banks have old technology, legacy, things that work, systems that work slowly because the organizations are big. You have the fintechs talking about new stuff, new technology, new expectations from customers. What we set out to do was to create a new bank with a full banking license, where all the deposits are guaranteed by the government. Connect into the payment systems natively, to have direct access into payment systems. To build all the technology from scratch, from the ground up. to use all the data captured around those transactions and to use machine learning and artificial intelligence to give people advice, to recognize that customers' data is their own data and shouldn't be used to cross-sell and upsell and sell stuff to customers. It should be used to give them insight into their financial life. So when you understand whether somebody has enough money to the end of the day, the end of the month, or the end of their life, you can coexist in a marketplace of other products that provide the rest of the financial services solution. Last year in July, we obtained our banking license as a fully licensed bank. We then became members of all the payment systems we needed. 6 weeks ago, we went into the app stores. Now we are using the data from people's day-to-day lives in order to enrich their experience and give them the insight they need to work with these other financial services products. Last week, we had people from all over Europe joining us in London to talk about Marketplace. We had companies such as Xero, TransferWise, the regulator in the UK, educating people on what could be different. 3 months ago, when we launched our first APIs, we had people flying in from all over the world, including Australia and India, to experiment on these new APIs, which are PSD2 compliant, that actually work. So where does this take us? I think that we're at a very interesting juncture. The new fintechs will raise customer expectations, will actually educate people that they can demand more from their financial services organizations. The incumbent banks will copy, and they will innovate as well. But the challenge is, will they be able to lower their cost base fast enough and effectively enough to compete with our people like ourselves? The banking industry needs to change. I believe that some of the big banks will succeed and will be here in 10 years' time, but some will be replaced by organizations like ourselves, working in an ecosystem, working in a marketplace together to satisfy people's financial needs. Thank you very much for listening. I know it's very hot outside and it's the end of the day. But I'd like everybody to think very positively about a positive financial future for lots of the consumers out there. Banking hasn't changed for 30-odd years. I think some of the people you've listened to today will give us inspiration that it's about to change. Thank you very much.